Our next car is a 1999 Mercedes-Benz E320. It has the 38-pin connector under the hood. I'm going to show you how to connect to that, and I'm going to come over to the hood, and I'm going to open up my fuse panel cover and remove the cover itself. I'm going to take my 38-pin adapter to hook it to my 38-pin connector. And then I'm going to take my OBD2 connector from my VCI and connect that to the 38-pin adapter. And we're ready to begin testing our vehicle, so let's go over to our tool. I'm going to set up my Bluetooth for us. Now it's connected. My ignition key on. We'll now check our DTCs. You'll notice that if you look at our Read DTCs icon, just above it is a light blue bubble with the number 1 in it. That's our auto detect feature that now will show what number of repair information is available for our fault codes. I have 1 repair information available for fault code. I'm going to tap on Read DTCs. Up will come our fault codes. And if you look, you'll see I have 2 fault codes, P0100, a history code and a current code. And above the current code is another blue bubble. And you'll see it says number 1. That's the repair information that's available from auto detect. I'll tap on my fault code. And you'll notice now if you look over to the far left, you'll see code assist with a light blue bubble of number 1. And it says our problem is replace the mass airflow sensor. I want to get some more information so I can test this vehicle and find out if that mass airflow sensor is truly bad. If you look down below, you'll see the direct hit has a little light blue bubble. It says I've got 2 additional bits of repair information. I'll tap on direct hit. It'll go out to the internet, right to Identifix. Up will come all our repair information for this vehicle. I'm going to pick up my stylus so I can go ahead and work with the Identifix feature. I'll tap on Hotline Archives, and I'm going to scroll through that and see what I have. I have 2 hotline archives. All right, one that says the MIL with DTCP0100. I'm going to tap on that, and I'm looking for a spec really, so let's see what they have listed. As I scroll through, using my stylus, you'll see that it has a spec. It tells us with the key on, I should see 0.9 to 1.1 volts, and with the engine running at idle, I should see 1.3 to 1.7 volts. So let's go ahead and turn off our Identifix, remembering those numbers, 0.9 to 1.1, and at idle, 1.3 to 1.7, and let's look at data stream. I'm going to close out of my DTCs. I'm going to go ahead and start my engine. Well, first, before I do that, let's look at my data stream with the key on. I'll bring up my data stream. We're going to let it come up, and once it comes up, I'm going to go look for HFM, which is also known as hot film mass airflow. My data stream is now up. You'll notice data stream is not in alphabetical order, so I'm going to go ahead and tap on sort. I'll tap on sort by alphabet. When I do, I'm going to go ahead and touch and drag until I find HFM. I'm going to touch on the box to the left of HFM. Then I'm going to touch on my select button so that I'm only looking at HFM on the screen. It's the only data item. I want to graph that. To do that, I'll go ahead and touch on the pull-down menu. I'll touch on the graph button. You'll notice that if you look at our data stream, HFM, hot film mass airflow, shows 1.25. If you remember, the Identifix article said for the Hotline Archive that our spec at key on, engine off was 0.9 to 1.1 volts. And then it had a spec for the key on at the running, with the engine running at idle. So I'm going to start the car, and we'll see what happens. And now you'll notice if you look at our data stream, you'll see that my numbers are going all the way from 0 to 3. And if you remember, my Identifix article said on the Hotline Archive that my spec at idle was 1.1 volts to 1.7 volts. That means that if you look at my data stream going up and down, my mass airflow is bad, and we have to replace it. Our next vehicle is a 1999 Ford F-350 with a 7.3 diesel. I'm going to show you how to do self-diagnostics. All Fords, truck, car, gas engine, diesel, have built under diagnostic trouble codes another set of tests under self-diagnostics where I can do a key engine off and a key engine run test, and in this truck a injector buzz test, a cylinder contribution test. During those tests, what I'm going to do is test all the circuits and all the components to make sure they comply with the specifications or parameters for operating. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go over to the scan tool, and I've already entered my vehicle. I'll tap on Read DTCs. When I do, up will come my DTCs. If there are any DTCs on this truck, obviously we need to take care of those first. However, you'll notice it says no diagnostic trouble codes. So let's go ahead and start the test. If you look at your top, you'll see that it says self-diagnostics to the left. I'm going to tap on that, and you'll have a full list. If I look at my list, I got everything from key engine off to cylinder contribution test at the bottom. First thing I'm going to do is known as the injector buzz test. During the injector buzz test, what will happen is you'll hear the injectors buzz once all together, and then independently they'll buzz one at a time. If there's a diagnostic trouble code or one injector is not quite at the right resistance value, what will happen is it will give us a fault code. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to touch on key engine off, injector buzz. I'm going to hit continue because it gives me a warning. And I'll hit continue again for the second warning. And then I'm going to touch on start. Now that my injector buzz test is complete, it'll say no diagnostic trouble codes, and the test is passed. So let's go and move on to the next test. For our next test, we're going to continue on with key on engine run tests in the self-diagnostic segment. So I'm going to show you that now, but to give you an understanding, you have to follow the sequence with this test all the way through just as it says. So I'm going to guide you through it. I'm going to touch on self-diagnostics. I'll touch on key engine run. We want to start our engine. It's going to give me a warning. That warning, so you know, right now tells you the engine's got to be at operating temperature. I'm going to tap on continue. And then it gives you another warning. Be sure that all the accessories are turned off. I'll hit continue once again. And now, up from our sequence, I'm going to start on the start menu. I'll press start. When I press start, the sequence will come up. It tells you to toggle the TCS switch. And then it tells you to turn the steering wheel a quarter turn. And then it tells you to tap on the brake pedal. I'll go over this again in a minute when it's not so noisy. Now our test is done, and I'm going to go ahead and shut it off. Our test is done. Our test is passed. There are no diagnostic trouble codes. But let me go over that sequence again so you can hear it without all the noise. The sequence on almost all vehicles are pretty much the same. It'll tell you to turn the TCS switch on and off. And then it tells you to turn the steering wheel a quarter turn. That's a quarter turn, not lock to lock. Because when you do that, you change the sequence. A quarter turn, let go of the steering wheel, then tap on the brake pedal. Now that you've learned how to do self-diagnostics, key engine run, key engine off injector buzz test, there are other things like key engine off, then there's also cylinder contribution test, but we're not going to show you those. At least you have the understanding at this point. We're now going to move on to our next vehicle and do some more testing. And for our next vehicle, I have a 2007 Dodge Nitro. And on this particular vehicle, I'm going to show you a few things in special tests, so you can learn how to do some testing with a Dodge or a Chrysler or Jeep. I'm going to go ahead and tap on special tests, and when I tap on it, up will come my menu. A couple things that are in special tests you understand are your relearns, all of them. For example, just like if I tap on other tests, you'll notice that I have quick learn for transmission listed there as well. I'm going to perform a couple actual tests for you. So I'm going to go ahead right to relay tests. And the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and tap on the AC clutch relay. Up will come my data. I'll tap on continue. And it'll give me my current value in about a minute. And I want to turn the AC clutch on. You will hear in a moment the AC clutch solenoid close or click. And it just clicked. And now I'm going to turn it back off. And now that I'm done with that test, it'll be off in a moment, I will then hit exit and we'll go look at another one. So let's go ahead and perform one more test. I'm going to do the same thing. I'll touch on my pull down menu. I'm going to go right to relay tests. And I'm going to scroll up a little bit so I can tap on the radiator fan. We'll hit continue. And this is Skyon XD off testing, by the way. My data stream has come up. I'm going to tap on start. And I'm going to hit enable. And in a few seconds, you'll hear the radiator fan actually start to spin. And now I'm going to tap on disable. I'll tap on exit. And I've completed my special tests. I'll just explain to you what you could use these for. Special test gives you the ability to actually test a solenoid or a relay or a motor to determine whether it's working or not. If you've got a fault code for an injector, for example, or a cylinder that maybe is misfiring, I can go in and turn an injector on or off while the engine's running in some cars, or in some cars with the key on engine off, and I can see if the injector's working. So without further ado, we'll move on to our next car. For our last vehicle in this installment, we're going to use a 2011 Skyon XD with a 1.8. I'm going to show you how to do some special tests. In particular, I'm going to show you how to do a fuel injector cutout on cylinders 1, 2, 3, and 4 with the engine running. To perform this test, the engine must be up at operating temperature. So that's one thing we have to do first. It has been running. I am at operating temperature. So to start our test, we're going to tap on special tests, and in a moment up will come our menu. I'll go down to fuel tests, and then I'm going to go to injector, control the cylinder for injector number 1, fuel, and it'll give you a warning to confirm the vehicle's stopped and that the engine is running at idle. I'll hit continue. In a moment up will come our data stream, and we're going to scroll and look at engine speed. And then I'll go ahead and tap on. When I tap on, you'll hear the cylinder 1 cut out. The engine runs a little bit rough. Hear it? I notice my RPM changed a little bit. I'll tap on off. I'll tap on exit. I'll then go to my pull down menu. I'll tap on fuel tests. I'll tap on control the cylinder number 2 for fuel. I'll make sure the vehicle's stopped. I'll make sure the engine's idling. Tap on continue. Data stream will come up. I'll scroll up until I find engine speed. I'll tap on, cutting out cylinder number 2. You'll hear the engine running a little bit rough, and it is. I'll tap on off. The RPM changed just slightly. Equal to the last cylinder. Tap on exit. I'll tap on my pull down menu once again. I'll tap on fuel tests. I'll tap on control the cylinder number 3 for fuel. I'll confirm the vehicle stopped. The engine's idling. I'll tap on continue. I'll wait for data stream to come up. I'll drag my screen up till engine speed's highlighted. I'll go ahead and tap on. When I do, I'll hear the cylinder number 3 cut out. I'll see that my RPM changes slightly from 700 down to 560. I'll tap on off. I'll tap on exit. I'll tap on my pull down menu once again. I'll tap on fuel tests. And then I'm going to go control the cylinder number 4, fuel. I'll confirm the vehicle stopped. I'll make sure it's at idle. I'll tap on continue. I'll wait for data stream to come up. I'll drag up to highlight engine speed. I'll tap on. We'll watch for the engine RPM to drop as cylinder 4 number cuts out. It'll drop down to 650. I'll tap on off. I'll tap on exit. I've now completed my test. I saw that all 4 cylinders had the same engine RPM drop as I cut each one out one by one, which indicates that my engine's in good operating order and the injector's in good working order. Everything's fine. I'll complete done. And now we're going to go back to our studios where we're going to pick our winner for our $38.95 Genisys Touch, worth a value of approximately $4,300.